Good morning, everyone. Adrian, thank you very much for the invitation to speak here this morning. As a chartered accountant, there's nothing more that I like to talk about than money, and that's what R&D tax relief is. It's money, it's cash in your hands. There's a really great link here between what Judith has said and the R&D tax relief system. But the R&D tax relief system has been around for 10 years. It's not new, but it's still amazing how many companies, small, medium, large, do not benefit and take the advantage of free money. It is unbelievable. I'm only going to talk for 10-15 minutes. I'm going to keep the presentation really short and really high level. R&D tax relief doesn't need to be all that technical in terms of a tax relief. It's quite easy to follow, it's quite easy to understand, and it's quite easy to capture, especially the methodologies that we've developed, and we work very closely with the revenue. What I'm going to do, I'm going to start off with giving you examples of the relief that you can get back. Quite often when I go to presentations on R&D, or presentations actually that I've done before, we try the presenter always tries to bamboozle people with how taxing this stuff is, and talks about what actually is R&D. It gets very technical and everybody just falls asleep. I'm going to start off with actually just showing you what the relief is, because I think you'll get it really quickly, and then I'll talk briefly about what R&D is. Because we're all doing R&D. I know you are doing R&D, you wouldn't be here. And then I'm going to talk about the types of costs that qualify and how you get the relief. So I'm going to keep it quite simple and straightforward. There's two types of relief. There's the SME relief and there's the large company relief. The SME is a company that's got less than 500 employees. So you've got less than 500 employees, you're into the SME scheme, prima facie, and then more than that you'd be into the large company scheme. And there's other conditions that I won't go into today, but in broad terms, if you've got less than 500 employees, you would go into the SME scheme, and there's the different reliefs between the two schemes. And then there's also a tax relief for capital spend, which is the same for both schemes. Okay, so if you're an SME, two types of relief. One, you can reduce your tax liability. So this is the money that you pay the revenue. This is not a voluntary thing you pay the revenue. This is compulsory. You have to pay your tax if you've got chargeable profits. You can reduce, this tax relief can reduce that amount that you pay to the revenue. Or the second type of relief is you can actually, if you've got a loss, the companies that are in a loss position can give that loss back to the revenue and get cash now, today. And the revenue will give it to you within 30 days, generally, of you submitting a tax return. Now, I've put up two examples of a qualifying R&D spend of £100,000. Now, don't be afraid that I'll never get to £100,000. Getting to £100,000 is pretty easy when you think of the size of companies that you work for. I'm going to come back to that. But if you're trying to reduce your taxable profit, you have £100,000 of qualifying spend. The revenue will give you a further 75% deduction from your tax bill. So you haven't spent this extra 75,000, they'll just give it to you. So it's another 75k. Then at the tax rate of 28%, you save £21,000. Okay? So you've got less than 500 employees, you can save £21,000 with qualifying spend of £100,000. And when I show you what qualifies for qualifying spend, £100,000 is very low. This could easily be £500,000, £1 million, and the claims that I do for very small companies are a lot larger than 100,000. So if you've got a couple of hundred employees, just think of the size. And I'm not making this up. This is real. Last Wednesday, we seen a lot of cuts. What they didn't emphasise was, they actually give money away. What's interesting. This scheme was introduced back in 2000 by the Labour government. The Conservative Party are still very in favour of R&D relief, and they've got Dyson involved, and Dyson did a review, and he actually has indicated that he wants the relief to go up from the 75%. What it would be is it's up to about 175% really when you multiply it to 200%, and he's encouraging, he wants the relief to be aimed at small SMEs, high-tech companies. What the high-tech companies is, the definition of that is still to be decided, and there's going to be consultation in the next month starting. But the Conservative Party are still very in favour of R&D tax relief. The Labour Party are definitely in favour of it. So it's going to be around for a while. other example is you can actually surrender your loss. So you've got £100,000 of qualifying spend, you get the 75,000 increased tax relief. That's £175,000 of qualifying R&D spend. You can give that back to the revenue. Say, okay, here I need cash now. Cash is king to my business, and the revenue will give you £24,500 back. They will, you know. You don't have to do anything other than submit a tax return and put your claim together, and it's that easy. So just in those numbers, with just £100,000, you can either get £21,000 reduced off your tax liability, so staying in your bank, or £24,500 by cashing in your loss. It's fantastic.
So Ian, can I ask a couple of questions?
Yeah.
back that last bit. So small, medium enterprise is 500 or less. Is that in terms of a total company? If your company is spread across various different campuses, is it at the campus level or is it the total company?
It's at the total company level.
And then it's profitable or loss at the company level.
It is, yes.
Yeah.
So in the statutory accounts.
Okay. Now the 21,000, I just couldn't follow how you got that 21,000 in the taxable profit.
Yeah, you get £100,000 as a base level of qualifying spend. You uplift that by 75% or 175%, so you've got an extra 75k of tax deduction. You never spent this cost in the first place, but the revenue is giving you 75,000. The rate of corporation tax at the minute is 28%, so 28% of 75 is the 21k. So when you come to your profitable line, so you've got the left-hand column is you've got profits. In your tax liability, you actually have to pay the revenue, but you can reduce that profit by this tax relief. The right-hand column is if you've got a loss. So it's very attractive, regardless if you're profitable or you're loss making. You've got a real benefit to gain there, and it is at the company level. And you would, if you're in a group, and if you're a subsidiary, you would have to take the number of employees of the parent company. So there are a few rules to come together. The 500 is just as a broad outline. Okay, large companies. The large company relief. There was a lot of rumour, especially when the Conservative Party came in, that the large company relief would be vanished. But that's not the case. I think they've indicated they're still very much behind the relief. The R&D relief, rather than having a 75% uplift, it's only a 30% uplift. But it's still a good uplift. This is cost that you have not spent, and on those numbers you get an £8,400 tax saving. Unfortunately, if you're in the large company scheme, you don't get the option to get a cash back. So if you're in a loss-making position and you're in a large company scheme, you can't surrender your loss and get cash back. It only applies if you're in the profitable position, but you can reduce your loss carried forward. This is the only technical slide that I've put up, because this is what R&D is. Okay, so there has to be a project. The project needs to be seeking an advance in science or technology, and the activities that go to try to achieve that advance need to be trying to overcome an uncertainty. Now you have all those boxes ticked. You have R&D. Now that sounds quite technical. I did that very quick. This is how I condense it. If you're developing a product or process and you have to test it, you're doing R&D. So if you're developing a product or process and you need to test it to see if that works, you're doing R&D. It's that simple.
Is it retrospective?
You've got 2 years. Okay, so you've got 2 years, so you can go back